Welcome to the Halftime Podcast, a 15-minute show where two panellists with opposing views must discuss why theirs is the best, and you get to decide the winner.
Hello, I'm Danny Cook, and welcome back to another episode of Halftime Cuppa's Halftime Podcast. Today I'm joined by two fantastic panellists in the form of Jake, Thomas and Charlie Pumfrey. Hello, chaps. How are we all?
Hello, Danny.
Hello, Danny.
So first to speak was obviously Charlie, and then Jake there. Jake, I don't know. Is this your first time on?
It might well be. I've done a couple before, but I don't know if it was for this one. I know I did the West Brom one.
No. Hey, you have done this before, but it's been so long. That's it. So I think your last appearance was the Badger.
That's right. And if I remember correctly, I was also correct.
If you remember correctly, you was also correct.
Yes.
In what sense?
Do you know what? I can't remember. What did I argue?
That's how memorable these are, Jake. Thank you for that.
Brilliant. I tell you what, we need to do an end of season one. I thought about this. I'm gonna maybe mash up a couple of the old clips, the highlights.
A reaction episode.
Definitely the Badger is up there. Anyway, these two chaps are going to be joining me today, and we're going to talk about a very topical issue covered very much across the press right now, which is Raheem Sterling's assault rifle tattoo. And they're going to be discussing whether his tattoo is really an issue that the media should be reporting on. And we'll come on to that. I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting debate, so stick around for that. Don't forget, of course, you can cast your views, your comments in the comment section, of course. But I want you to take a visit, take a quick visit, not take an eye, cast an eye maybe on our poll below, because that's going to be where it's all going to kick off, I would imagine. Vote whether you think that you're sort of in favour of the media reporting this issue or you're against it. Please get involved in that one. Okay, so chaps, let's kick off. You know what? Let's start with Charlie. Charlie, should footballers have tattoos of weapons when little kids look up to them as idols?
The answer is yes, isn't it? It's okay. Because, I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but, look, what's on Arsenal's badge? Is it a cannon?
Okay, cool. I was gonna ask, what is on Arsenal's badge?
There's a weapon on there
for it. Yeah.
There's so much other imagery that, I mean, how much attention do kids pay to what tattoos players have? I mean, that's another issue in itself. And to be honest, I know there's certain industries where they say you can't have certain tattoos, but football isn't. Yeah, visible tattoos. But I don't think it's an issue. I think it's something that gets blown out of proportion, and there's all sorts of other questions that need to be asked about why it becomes such a big issue. Okay,
well, Jake, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous, really. Like you say with the Arsenal badge, there's literally a giant cannon on it. I mean, not only football, but in other media, you've got players like Griezmann doing celebrations from Fortnite. What does that involve? Literally involves going around killing people. Are we now going to, persecute celebrations as well? Mm-hmm. It's not even a story, really. Man gets tattoo.
Well, it's interesting. I think this story is more of an interest to see how the media have actually reported this and how certain individuals have reported this. Now, one of the obviously Marmite figures, I guess, that's been very involved in this is Piers Morgan. And as you say about the Arsenal badge, I don't know if anyone listening in has seen this thread on Twitter, but it's amazing. is about some guys talking about the Arsenal bat. I think he started with Gary Lineker, you know.
I think it was Gary Lineker.
Gary
Yeah.
Lineker and I can't remember his name. Dan off Football Focus.
Yeah.
Dan Walker.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
So obviously talking about the cannon, and then the Arsenal fans like, oh, okay, you know, here's the new club logo minus the cannon, and then what was it then? It was then
You can't have red; it's the color of blood.
Yeah,
Can't have the word Arsenal.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't have
you
Arsenal.
can't have that. You can't have the crest as a shield. No, you can't have that because that represents war as well, and fighting and combat. So it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. But they also went on. I saw another thread that was talking about other clubs, and you got like Sheffield United. Their nickname is the Blades.
Yeah. But hold on, we have to rename them just in case little children watching thinking, you know what, I've seen a machete somewhere in radical Islam. Let's take that up.
Oh no. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah, moving swiftly on from that. So I suppose the real question now is, are the media right to report on this issue, Jake?
No. It's just a tattoo. It's got a personal meaning to him. They've more or less forced him to explain what it is.
Can you explain the personal meaning at all? Just for anyone who's listening in.
I'm pretty sure it's in relation to his dad being killed by a gun when he was age 2, and he vowed to never touch one. He's not a fan of guns. He's not a gun nut. It's just something. It's just a symbolic meaning to him.
Yeah, I you know what, I like that bit that because I heard obviously the bit about unfortunately his dad dying. I heard that one first, and I was like, okay, yeah, understand. But then I heard the second bit only recently. I think I only saw that last night, saying that he's there so that he vows to never touch a gun or anything like that. Which I thought was quite a symbolic thing, actually. I was like, you know what? That's fair enough. Fair enough. But it's quite interesting to see the certain media outlets, who we will come on to, decide not to maybe
very
portray
popular
it in that
media
way.
outlets
for the wrong reasons. Charlie, what's your thoughts then? Are the media right to report this issue?
They're not right, but from their perspective, they want to write anything about England that they can in a World Cup year, in the run-up to a World Cup. If anything, football's gone a little bit dead since the Champions League final. They're just rummaging for whatever they could find. I mean, if it wasn't that, it would have been certain play. Yeah, it would have been all about like what Jack Wilshere and Joe Hart were doing with their free summer. It'd be all sorts of other issues.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you bring that up. That was one of my follow-up questions a little bit later on. Do you feel this sort of story would have been reported if it was not a World Cup year?
No, not a chance.
I think it would have. I think they would have done it regardless.
Why is that then?
Because I think it's got to the point where they seem to think that everyone wants to know everything, every minor detail of what, sort of a certain player's doing. They just assume that people care and will have the same reaction as them when reporting it. And people don't. People live in the real world. Like, no one cares that this man has got a tattoo of a gun on his leg. But they seem to assume that we as a public are going to be up in arms over it. Like, he can't have that. He's a role model. No one cares. It's his decision. He's not forcing people to get tattoos of guns. It's just something that he has chosen to do. It's not like he's gone out and said, you know what, if you want to make it in football, you need a gun on your leg.
Yeah, I think for me,
fair point.
The issue comes from the fact that the reporting is just so, whether it's a case of they think this is a real issue, or whether they know that if we put this out, it will get a reaction, positive or negative.
Mm.
I mean, I can't remember who said it. It said that there's no such thing as bad publicity.
That was, I think, P.T. Barnum.
It was indeed.
Was it? I just quoted.
The Greatest Showman.
I just quoted the Greatest Showman.
Throwback to
Fantastic,
public
brilliant.
relations module.
Exactly. Simon
You didn't do the module.
But yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think the interesting thing to keep in mind is as well, I'm kind of in the middle on this question, as in, would they have reported it if it wasn't a World Cup year? If it was anyone else bar Sterling, I think they would have just ignored it, or they wouldn't have really cared. There wouldn't be, it wouldn't be portrayed in such a bad way. It'd be portrayed in a good positive spin. But for some reason, I feel the Sun and maybe some other media outlets have this sort of negative perception of Sterling, and have got this agenda going on, because I don't know. I'm trying to think what stories there have been, but there have been a number of stories throughout the season about Sterling. And
if you can even call them stories, I mean, it's just happening.
And he bought his
It's
mum
like,
a sink.
yeah. I mean,
What?
I don't care what he buys his mother. It's not a story. Bloke can do whatever he wants. If he's using money to fund some illicit mafia underground deals, then that's a story. Buying your mother a sink is not a story.
But does that not therefore show what the perception that the Sun have of him?
Oh yeah, completely.
Or not just
it's
the Sun,
ridiculous.
but the others, of course. But
yeah,
and surely that's wrong, isn't it?
well, it's like Gary Lineker's he tweeted out yesterday. It's just weird. It's got to the point where it's not even. It's just strange that this hyper focus they've got on every little thing he does.
It's just because it sells papers. It gets clicks on the website.
Like
People will go,
from
what they're on about.
Yeah, from their perspective, I understand why they're doing it, but it's not like the Sun need any other reason to sort of diminish their reputation anyway. They've got a terrible reputation. No one in the country likes them anyway. They're not exactly doing anything to improve it. Like they
Other newspapers are also available.
yeah.
The Sun were the ones to lead this story, but there have been other papers.
They were, yeah.
So I think I've seen the Mail, or it might have been the Mirror actually, that put some story out about him going out for breakfast the day after he didn't play in the season.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just, I don't know how you can say you're a professional journalist when you're putting stories out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You really are clutching at straws if
These
you're reporting that a man has eaten breakfast.
Like, these people have trained for years. I'd be disgusted if someone came to me and went, all right, you've trained for years, but what we want you to do is write a story about this man's leg tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, who sits there and goes, yeah, do you know what? Great idea. I'll get straight on it. You'll have 400 words by next half an hour.
I remember that. I remember seeing that as well. So, I mean, we've got to cut some slack to the Sun, and in the sense that they're not the ones leading on all the stories, but certainly on this one, they have been. I mean, I saw another follow-up piece. I think it may have been in their newspaper as well, that said there was two stabbings, or not two stabbings, two shootings or something like that in a different part of the country, and all of a sudden, like literally, it was probably about 200 words at most. This sort of piece on the side, and within 20 or 30 words, straight into Sterling having this assault rifle tattoo.
I've read that, and I think the wording is exactly on the day that Sterling revealed his leg tattoo. And the interesting part
that was
about
intentional.
No, but the interesting part about that, Jake, he didn't unveil that tattoo that the day when it came out the other day. There's a picture of him next to the Premier League trophy, sat down with his leg tattoo on full display.
That is fantastic.
And quite like, obviously, a journalist has taken that, or a photographer's taken that photo, and it's been out there. But they've waited till not long before the World Cup starts to release that.
Yeah,
It's just
that's a good point.
strange.
That's a good point.
It's-
Yeah.
So to be honest, it's disgusted.
Obviously, a journalist has taken that, or a photographer's taken that photo.
Oh, what's going on there? Okay. Anyway, I don't know if you kind of heard there. I mean, you kind of heard Charlie there for some reason. But that
Doubling
is
back on myself.
that's the full-time whistle in the background there. But on that note, and I've just realised I have a completely different screen going on here. I've got TFF Talks. Chaps, why hadn't you told me? Why hadn't you told me?
Is this not TFF Talks?
No.
What?
I just assumed it was because of the picture.
To be honest, Danny, I saw it earlier and I was like, I'm not going to argue just in case he has actually asked me on TFF Talks.
I'm gonna have to edit this. Unfortunately, 'cause
I
I can't
honestly
have
thought
that.
this was TFF Talks. That's what, when you said, have I been on before as well? That's why I was like, I might have been if it was this one.
That's what I thought. I was like, I haven't been on TFF. Maybe the end of the January window. I might have been on that one.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh, Danny Cook, you sensational human being.
Well, on that utter bombshell, it is definitely time to end. But before we do, let us know your thoughts, obviously, in the comment section below. And don't forget to vote in that poll too and tell us whether Sterling's tattoo is a real issue. And be sure to check out.
Not.
Be sure to check out our various pieces of content we have across our sites, as well as our football predictor at halftimecuppa.com. Before we finish up completely then, gents, I just want to get from you a response as to whether you feel Raheem Sterling's tattoo is really an issue. So a one word, yes or no. Let's start with Jake, because I kind of guess what you're going to say.
No.
Okay, cheers. Charlie?
Are you mad? Why are we still talking about this? It is a blatant no.
Okay, two no's.
Harsh words from
The no's
Charlie.
have it. The no's have it. But let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for coming on the show. Thank you very much, Charlie and Jake. How can we follow you guys on social media?
You can find me at Charlie Pumfrey on Twitter. Nice and easy.
On Twitter, my name is JT1196.
There we go. And I'm on Twitter too at DannyCook1996. Thanks again, chaps, for coming on. Charlie and Jake were excellent panelists today, so thank you very much, both.
Thank you very much, Danny.
Thank you. It's been a laugh. I've been your host, Danny Cook, and you've been listening to another episode of the Halftime Podcast.
TFF.